What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a reaction to Love and Rockets and their album Sweet F.A., brought to us by friend, longtime supporter, and patron channel, Robert. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below or the Patreon link on the end screen. We could not do it without the patrons. But I did a really good one at the time of this filming, Black Motorcycle Rebel Club album last month, Howl, for Robert. He always brings me great stuff. We have some Love and Rocket stuff. We have some Bauhaus. We have some Tones on Tail. I'll tell you how all that connects if you don't know. I imagine you do because you're watching this, but you may just be watching it because it's on the channel. But we have some of that stuff up, but I've never listened to a full album, so this is going to be a good one. Give you a little bit of background. Love and Rockets are an English rock band formed in 1985 by former Bauhaus members Daniel Ash, vocals, guitars, and saxophone, David J, bass, guitar, and vocals, and Kevin Haskins on drums and synthesizers. Now, David J and Kevin Haskins are brothers. After that group split in 1983, Ash and Haskins had recorded and performed in another band, I already mentioned, Tones on Tail, between 82 and 84. Love and Rockets' fusion of underground rock music with elements of pop music provided an early catalyst for alternative rock. Their 1989 single, So Alive, you may know that one if you're in the States like I am, reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. They released 7 studio albums before breaking up in 1999. Reformed briefly in 2007 for a few live shows before splitting up again in 2009, and they reformed in 2023 and did several tour dates. This album is their 6th studio album, released in 1996 by American Recordings, we'll get into that in a minute, and Beggar's Banquet. Now, if you're wondering what the title means, it means Sweet F-All, a modern variant of Sweet Fanny Adams, which is a common British naval slang for nothing. F All Else is prominently sung by Daniel throughout the title track, which will be our first track. In April of 1995, during the recording of this album, a fire broke out in the house owned by American Recordings, which of course is the legendary Rick Rubin. So they were living there in the house while recording. The fire broke out in the part that they were living in. All of the members were uninjured, but a friend of theirs was visiting, another musician. He ended up getting hurt because he had to jump from the second floor. The other guy injured his ribs that wasn't a member of the band. Also, the band lost all of their gear. A photo of a burnt guitar was used for the album cover and months of work on the album. Now, what happened was Rick Rubin owned the house and the recording studio. He turned it into his insurance. His insurance company, in turn, sued Love and Rockets, saying it was their fault. So they countersued, and they ended up winning. It was held responsible for the insurance company and Rubin. Now, Rick Rubin didn't sue him, but the insurance company did. You got no control over that when your insurance company sues someone. But they ended up having to spend a lot of money on their attorneys and stuff, and they didn't have anywhere to record. So they went to a friend of theirs' house, and they recorded 4 songs in a very brief amount of time in that house. And then they went to another studio and quickly finished this. And Daniel said, at the time, we went right back to bass, drums, and guitar. And for us, that was really refreshing. Going in and recording everything, sometimes even the vocals in one take. It's probably our most honest record. He also said at the time, if anything, the songs on the album are more simplistic. The lyrics are much simpler, as direct as possible. In the past, we've done a lot of philosophizing, but on this one, the subject matter is mainly about lust and love. Some of the other records have been more spiritual, more religious, whereas this one is a more in-your-face, more of a direct rock and roll album with sex as a core that follows through. I've always been a big lover of 50s rock and roll and the simplicity of the lyrics at the time. We tried to do that with this record, and later on, Jay said, Sweet F.A. was our coming-of-age album, a rite of passage, the phoenix rising from both the literal and figurative flames. All tracks were written by Love and Rockets, Daniel Ash, David J, and Kevin Haskins. If you've never been to this before, the music will not be in the video, but it'll be at a Vimeo link below. Click on that and follow along with us. Let's get to it. We have the opening track, which you've seen down below, the title track, Sweet F.A. I don't have a ton of research on this. I mined a lot of places and tried to find what I could, and I kind of gave this to you at the start, the quotes from some obscure interviews that they gave, but I'm sure that we're going to figure it out as it goes along. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Robert. All right, Sweet F.A. Interesting way to open an album. That's just acoustic. It's Daniel and the acoustic and meditating on the meaning of life, right? I was rolling down the window of my car and I was thinking where the game had got me so far, the game of life. Doesn't matter where you're going and where you're coming from, or is your life just like a grain of sand? F all else. And so he kind of goes through that. He's in Hollywood sunsets and the silver screen. Doesn't matter where you're coming, where you're going. So yeah, I mean, that's just what he's talking about. Rolling through the highway in a dream. What is the meaning of life? Does any of this matter? Because we're here today, gone tomorrow. Life is just like a grain of sand. So like I said, interesting way to open your album up. There's 14 songs on this album. There's a reprise of this at the end. So this book ends it. So, I mean, you can say 13 proper songs. So opening with this one, I liked it. I really did like it, but I bet we're going to get a little more instrumentation here as we go. Let's jump into the second track, Judgment Day. All right, Judgment Day. Much more guitar work in there. Kind of not the gothy sound that you're going to get with Bauhaus, but I mean, there's some elements in there, some things, but it's still, Daniel's vocal delivery is still very chilled. And this is really about spirituality and materialism. So, the quote I read, he said, we're not so much into, the deeper meanings on this album. It's about love and lust. But so far, the first two tracks are definitely more about a spiritual outlook on things, right? A wide-ranging, big picture outlook on things. Help me find a reason before my judgment day to make some big money so I can run away. Good God, what's the miracle in this killing game? Help me see the big picture, put my ego to shame. Hey, before my judgment day. Pretty catchy, the chorus on there, even though it's not written to be a catchy song. Now up to the third track, Use Me. All right, Use Me. That one definitely had more. He didn't want to be alone, so he wanted to be with her. We'll put it that way. But I know these guys have stated before one of their influences is Velvet Underground. This song right here could be from Velvet Underground in the late 60s, right? Even Daniel's vocal delivery, very Lou Reedy, very build up, dial it all back, get that guitar in there, and then dial it way back. And then the dial back and just fading us out over that last minute was pretty cool as well. Next up, we got Fever. All right, Fever. Subject matter, he knows she deserves somebody good, but he's got the fever for her. Kind of self-explanatory, but very interesting arrangement-wise. You had Daniel on there, but you must have David J in there harmonizing most of the song, or they double-tracked Daniel, but I think that was a different voice in there with David J with the fever. It's low-key, but then they build it up and get some great guitar work from Daniel in there and some synthesizer work from Kevin. And just the way it's arranged, the build, the drawback, the harmonized vocals, it's really interesting and different than the first three songs. Now we'll come up to the lead single. It was a minor hit on alternative radio. We got Sweet Lover Hangover. Sweet Lover Hangover, the lead single. A good tune. It's interesting. Daniel sings it with this great, vocal kind of subdued performance, like sounds really good. And then that guitar back there, there's some dissonance, which there is in a lot of their stuff, which just adds this nice texture to it and keeps it interesting instead of just straight down the middle. So as a lead track, probably the right decision. I'm thinking of the first 5 songs that I've heard here. Maybe Judgment Day, but probably the right decision so far. It's always hard to pick that lead single, but probably the right choice. Let's go to the 6th track. We have Pearl. All right, Pearl. Kevin really getting to go to work on the synthesizers throughout this song. Once again, a chilled out, a little bit of harmony in there. Still got those guitars in there, but otherwise, a pretty chilled out song. She's no ordinary girl. She's a pearl of the jaded edges and all of that good stuff. But there's a little more to the lyrics than that, but that kind of sums it up. But just a good vibe, man, like a good chilled out vibe. As we get into the halfway point of the album, we got Shelf Life. Shelf Life. So it's used in food, right? What's the shelf life? When does it go bad? But this is used. The guys were really coming in on the record industry, right? It starts out, how many A&R men does it take to change a light bulb? I'll get back to you on that. How many spells and dollars does it take to make the magic of pulling legends from a hat? And he just goes on to, one of the parts I really like, how many bullets in the back does it take to kill a singing cowboy? And then after that verse, it almost sounded like we had a steel guitar on there. I don't know if it's a steel guitar or not. It really sounded like a steel guitar. To kind of said it almost went country, but then we went back into the other vibe and, just talking about, and then they're selling up the future with a twist of line, paying you in dollars for the perfect crime. Last month's color, you passed your sell-by date and your days are numbered. What is your shelf life? What is your shelf? Just a really well done song. And these boys were coming at the A&R people at the record companies, man. And that's always entertaining. It just kind of came out of nowhere in the middle of this album, right? I did not expect that. Next up, we have Sad and Beautiful World. Sad and Beautiful World. I've said this on other songs on here, but this song definitely had everything. The synthesizer playing as an organ, right? You have an organ in a Sad and Beautiful World. This song ends the same way it starts. We bring the lyrics back full circle. The girl's out of his league. She makes him happy, sometimes makes him sad. She's never even going to notice him, but he can't deny wanting her, and just the the angst that comes with that. The percussion on here is incredibly interesting as well. There's dissonance as well with the guitar and the percussion and with the vocal delivery. Yeah, it's a sad and beautiful world, boys and girls. Well done. Next up, we have Natasha. It was written for Natasha Atlas, a friend of the band who appeared on Daniel's first solo album. All right, Natasha. Very interesting song because you have that big change up in there, right? Daniel's vocals are real lo-fi for the first, I don't know, third of the song as it builds up with the guitar work and everything. And the instrumentation's building. And then when you get that change up, I think we're going to go full on. But no, we just go into this more mellow where his vocals become totally clear. It's almost like a Beatles 1967-68 mix of something. But Natasha can never be satisfied or happy is kind of the gist of the story. But the arrangement, as on every one of these songs, have been quite interesting. Now we go into the longest track on the album, Words of a Fool. A commentary on the different words of a fool. Then when we go into the lyrics, but all these songs are well written. Once again, I mean, it's the theme on the album, obviously. We go through all these different things. The percussion on this album is very interesting. You don't have a lot of straight up drumming on here. There's some interesting percussion things that kind of draws you in. I thought the guitar work was really good. I thought the song was probably a little bit too long. It's one of my least favorite on here, but it's not a bad song by any means. Something's got to be among my least favorite on here. Next up, we have the song Clean. All right, Clean. I would think that this song is about illegal substances because he says you're even higher than NASA and you're kind of come down from that tree after you've done this or that, but I'm not exactly sure. It could be morally clean as well. There could be some little illusions in there, but once again, really good guitar work, and the dissonance in this song is high level as well. It's a fine song. Next up, we have Here Comes the Come Down. Here Comes the Come Down. Electronic dance right here, right? Electronic dance. Totally different than the other stuff on this track, but really enjoyed it. Daniel's voice is definitely different and the mixing on it and arrangement, but well done. Got the last new song on here. We got Spiked because the last song was just a reprise of the opening track. Okay, Spiked. So the last song was electronica. This was industrial. I mean, with everything on the percussion, just the way that Daniel delivered it. So I thought it was well done. Spiked. I mean, we don't know exactly what it's about. But I mean, we know we got some black long hair from the stuff that they've been doing and different things there, but a good way to finish off this album. And we got one more track, sort of, but to kind of like fade out from the theme and go electronica and industrial. I'm sure some people didn't like that and wanted, the music to be a seamless theme, but I thought it was interesting to show their versatility. I already mentioned it a couple times. We've got Sweet FA and a little minute 12 reprise on the opening track. So I wonder if the arrangement's going to be different. I won't have to wonder long. All right, pretty clever way to end this because we just get the just rolling part down the highway in a dream. Almost like the whole thing could have been a dream as we bookend it with this track, which is a perfect transition to my favorite tracks. Favorite tracks are going to be the opening track and what we just heard a snippet of, Sweet FA and Judgment Day. Honorable mentions, Use Me, the Velvet Underground type song, Sweet Lover, Hangover, Natasha, and Here Come the Come Down, the electronica song. Now we will get to my overall score for the album. There's 14 tracks on here, really 13. I won't count the last track. It's a minute 12. Probably a little bit long. Not long as in it's an hour long. That's not long. But probably could have cut a few of the songs in here. I didn't dislike any of them. And I wouldn't cut the last songs because they are a different change up. But I mean, that's a minor complaint there. No big deal. When we get to the overall score of the album, I always like to give the things that I didn't like first or have a little issue with. I thought it was a very solid album. Great sound, great arrangement, interesting instrumentation the entire way through. You see some versatility here. I think Daniel's vocals are a little underrated at times, but he gives pretty much the same vocal performance on all except for the last two songs. And I think it works. We just change up the arrangements. I thought the songs were well written. So overall score on this is going to be a 7.25. Very solid album. Definitely enjoyed it. Had never listened to a Love and Rockets album before. Like I said, let me know what your favorites are down below. What are your thoughts on this album? They have 7 albums. This is number 6, right? So let me know what you think down below this. What else should I check out? Give a shout out to Robert. Thank you for bringing this one. Always appreciate it. Until next time, guys, I will see you